So for more, I want to welcome cultural critic Niko Stratis in Toronto. Niko is also a writer and author. And Niko, you found out about the same time that we did. It just sort of shocked all of us. How did this hit you, that Catherine O'Hara has died?
It almost felt not real. Like I was reading a fake news. I was sitting on the subway and I just happened to open my phone and I saw the news and I thought, well, that's not right. That's not the news. And I checked multiple times, the same website, just to make sure that I had read it right, because it just felt so unreal, like I was reading news from another world.
Unfortunately, it's this world, and it is real. But yeah, I think that you're sort of capturing the shock and sadness that so many people are feeling this afternoon. And you kind of grew up with her. What made her able to relate to so many different, whatever your background, whatever your age?
She really, when you saw her on screen, she really sort of made the room her own. You know, whatever she was acting in. You know, the first time I remember seeing her in anything was Home Alone, which came out in, I believe, 1990. I was about 8 years old. And, but she embodies so many different things all at once. You know, there's a warmthness to her. There's obviously the humor. There's all of these things. And whenever she was on screen, the scene just became hers. And you just couldn't help but be sort of enamored with her. And, she became this omnipresent thing that whenever she would pop up, you would think, it's almost like you could relax a little bit and say, like, okay, well, Catherine O'Hara's here, so this is going to be good. And it just, she's this warm presence that existed throughout all of these things that, again, just like managed to be so many different people all at once.
I'll just speak personally. Whenever I saw her on the screen and in a scene, I would always be sad at the end of the scene. I would want it to be more. Yeah. I would want more of her. It was just, there was something about her that was just funny, just incredible. Are there standout roles? You mentioned Home Alone. Are there other standout roles for you?
I mean, her role in Schitt's Creek that is I think is going to be front of mind for a lot of people, just because that role was so big and was so and not just big as this is a big opportunity, but just her character of Moira was just so outsized and so, it seemed like such a joy to play because it's so outlandish in such a joyful way. But also, I think something that's really hard to do as a comedic actor is to approach all of your comedy with a bit of heart and a bit of warmth and a bit of openness. And I always sort of got that sense. And I always will go back to Home Alone because I think she gets to be all of those people all at once. She gets to be vulnerable. She gets to be funny. She gets to be cutting. She gets to be so many people. And it really sort of speaks to her strength of character that I think the reason why she's such a presence is because she is all of those things. She's not just a comedic actress. She's, there's drama in there, there's pain in there, there's yearning in there, there's all of these things. And it feels so real that, this feeling that you were saying of when she's off screen, you sort of are sad because she's gone. And I think that's part of it is she embodies all these very real characteristics that you just don't want to let go of.
And Niko, I know that you've watched her in her roles, but also kind of on red carpets, in real life, in interviews. What kind of struck you about how she seems personally?
She seemed very aware of, I think you get to a certain level, a certain status, and you become part of a different world entirely. And whenever I would see her on things being interviewed or what have you, it seemed like she still embodied the same universe as all of us. She seemed very grounded and very tethered in this life. Even though she was this very otherworldly presence, Catherine O'Hara, there's so much stature there, but she never really seemed to lose this connection to the world around her. And I think that is a really important thing. And maybe this is a Canadian thing, maybe it's not, but there's very few people that I feel like I see and I think, you and I still belong. We still walk on the same sidewalks. And that's such an important thing that just not a lot of people have anymore. There's not a humility even necessarily, but just a memory of where she has come from and where she still wants to go.
And there is also range. We keep talking about her wonderful comedic moments, and that's fair. Yeah. But also in The Last of Us, not a lot of comedy in that show. And she played a therapist in this sort of dystopian, a world There was that range, right? I mean, she's known for her comedy, but she also could easily, almost seems effortlessly play these serious roles as well.
Yeah, and I think that's just always in her, right? Like, it's a shame to be talking about her after having passed away, because in my heart, I'm like, I can't wait to see some more dramatic roles from her, because in my heart, the news I read still isn't real. It's still sort of dawning on me. Because I would have loved to have seen more, because I think, like you said, you could really see it and like, right, you're not just hilarious and so charming and so all of these things. You have a lot of dramatic, chops to you, and there's so much to her as an actress that you just imagine she could have done anything.
Well, I think it just doesn't feel real, because I think you're right. I mean, she has been working right up until the end. It feels as though, Seth Rogen, another fellow Canadian, and that smash hit, The Studio, another hilarious role. A lot of people, though, may be thinking about Schitt's Creek, because that brought her to a whole new generation of fans, right?
Sure.
In terms of, and it was the pandemic, and that show, it just hit a spot, I think, with a lot of people.
Yeah.
It was just popular. I can't remember, 13, 14 Emmy nominations, and they had a whole Toronto group kind of in Toronto because people weren't traveling, and she won for Best Actress. The show won for Best Comedy that year, and I think a bunch of other awards. But what do you think it was about her role as Moira Rose in that show?
I think it was because she played it so big, and she had that affectation to her voice, and there's the wigs, and there's all of these things, there's all of these elements. It gives you a shared language that you can talk about when the show is over, which is such a hard thing to pull off. You want to be able to imitate the way somebody talks or say a line and have it mean something in your life, because then it's crossed over. Then this thing has become part of your world. And it is, yes, it is a show you watch, but it is given you something more. It has created lines on the face of all of this. And that is a really hard thing to pull off. And I think that's why people can gravitate to it so easily, is because it gives you something that you can tie yourself to, and it becomes part of you. Like she's like an extra bone in your body suddenly, that is always there and is sort of informing a lot of decisions moving forward. Once you've seen her as Moira Rose, you will never not see her as that, and you will always remember that. Or in The Studio, the same thing. Her role in that it is like almost delicious. Like she just seems to love being on screen so much, and you can see that, and it just stays with you.
And because part of the role, and I'm trying to remember it, we're showing some of the B-roll of her as Moira Rose, is that she's playing an actress trying to kind of restart her career, right? And there's just all these outfits, and she's she feels as though she's really going to make it. And I don't know, there's something about it that was just so funny, so fun, so light, so hilarious.
Yeah. And it feels connected to something like that. Feels like it comes from a place of lived experience too, which is so important. You're drawing on something that you know in order to create these people.
Niko, it was good to talk to you on a sad day. Thank you, Niko Stratis, joining us in Toronto.
Thank you so much for having me.